Am I seeing like I'm kind of just doing some fan behavior, just keep talking, rambling on about the evils of self improvement? Because I am a fan. Um, it's because I think these things need to be said. We need to actually re-educate ourselves and realize this re-education lots of us went into. Like I went into it. It did help me when I was younger, or not even much younger, when I was in my infancy in learning. Then I realized a little bit more. It's not good. One of the things I'll be talking about is this. I don't like using the word weird usually because it's so vague. A very weird dynamic saying that we should want father-daughter relationships when talking about like sexual relationships as opposed to mother-son relationships. I'm going to be talking about, first of all, why it's weird. I mean, I don't really have to go into detail why that's weird. I still will. But I'll also talk about the intent behind it, how it's how it's damaging to us, as well as what's a story from my own life, sort of. First of all, it's very weird for very obvious reasons. Why are you interjecting a parental relationship into a sexual relationship? Why are you saying it has to be like that? Why are you saying a sexual relationship has to be like a relationship with your parents and child? It still just baffles me how I, when I was stupider, thought that this sounded like a decent idea. I mean, like, come on. It doesn't have to be like that. Also, what's the intent behind it? The intent behind it is to have a pet. No, not in the traditional sense of a pet, like a dog or a cat, but in the idea of something you can control. In this case, someone who will do whatever you want them to do. You can just use, likely just for sexual pleasure. You just want to use them, not see them as a true person. That's why I say a pet. It's to dehumanize them. You say that they're under you, that you should have more power than them. But why can't it be a relationship where it's just simply two consenting adults or two consenting people who love each other or really like each other just together? Why does there have to be this forced massive power dynamic? Why can't it just be even? Why can't you have a relationship where there isn't someone who's dominant and submissive? You could say that that's how it's always been. It doesn't matter. Just because how it's always been doesn't mean it's a good thing. Slavery was something that we say, oh, it's always been this way. Racism is something we say, oh, it's always been this way. Doesn't mean we can't fight against it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't move against it. And then this idea of because there's been some change, because there's been some push forward to move past this, people are now trying to backtrack and move us even further backwards. When sometimes progress is often fought against. Look at the South. I know I talk about saving the South a lot, but it does work well. 13th was passed in 1865. They fought against it for about a century. It took a century to really start to get rid of it. And that's what we're doing now. Because there was this massive change, and we're fighting back with just the same ferocity, if not more ferocity, to keep it down, to keep others down, to keep us upwards, to keep the power. It's all about power. Everywhere, always, everything is all about power. That's why they force this power dynamic, because they want someone under them who will do whatever they want, who is not an equal to them. Like I said again, it's a pet. Someone who will get their drinks, clean their house, and suck their dicks. That's it. And you're just trying to homogenize yourself. You're just forcing yourself to be homogenized. It goes back to what I said about everyone trying to be different, making yourself the same. It depends on what's same. The same as different from what you perceive as the status quo of all these super liberal, blue pill, we also these ideas are like the silent majority. Lots of people aren't like this. They may say they are. They may preach it on Sunday, but they don't practice it on no day. They say that they're an ally, but they're not do jack shit, because I believe ally is just code for I'm gonna watch you on the side, or cheer. It's code for being a cheerleader essentially. You just cheer on the sidelines, but we don't necessarily need cheerleaders. We need people who actually do shit. That's what most people actually are. They're not actually fighting for the other people's rights. They're not actually saying, they're not calling out injustices. So you just homogenize to not only just be in the honestly, probably the majority of people in general, but the majority of people in your spheres. The majority of people in your spheres are like this. The majority of people in these alt groups are like this. Filled with hatred, trying to force separation. And we should be fighting for solidarity. And that's when we're all going to get out of this. No one person can fight against this massive institution. But if we have millions of people doing it, then they can't stop us. Because it really truly would take a nation of millions to hold us back. And just one last note. In all of my relationships, I've never forced this, and it's always worked fine. I never had to make myself be, this chief arbiter of power. Because that's just wrong. It is wrong to try to force such separation, such a power dynamic. Like in my current relationship, we are equals. Because there's also naturally going to be a power dynamic, also because of my gender. Males tend to have more power than women. That's just the way our society is. I've tried to impart some of my own power to make it even, because that's the moral thing to do. You can call me weak or whatever. I don't really care. Is it weaker to actually make the hard decisions and actually go against what people usually do? Most people wouldn't do that. Most people wouldn't give away their own power. I'm fighting against what most people would do because I believe it's morally, ethically, just the right thing to do. So is that weak, or is that actually strength, that I'm willing to make these sacrifices to be a good person, to be a virtuous person, and just do what's right? I believe I've shown just how weird and fucked up this idea is of the father-daughter sexual relationship, and how we need to start looking at other people as people, and we need to change. We need to do better. We need to be better. We can't just be the same as we've been for decades, for centuries, for millennia. We need to change. We are in a new age of man. So the way we view other people should also be in a new light. We need to do better.